Hi, this is John Alex with the second match in a league run with 4-color Delverless. We won the first one against Black Red Reanimator and we're on the draw for the second one. I'm going to keep this hand. It's a little risky with the only blue source and really just the worst blue source. Well, Volcanic would actually be worse, not being able to cast Baleful Strix and Thoughtseize is annoying. But we have the Death Ride and we have the Wasteland, and if this is the kind of matchup where it's good, we have a potential turn 2 True Name Nemesis. So I'm fine with this keep. We also have some interaction if our opponent is on a combo deck. And our opponent is casting Ponder off Basic Island, which means they are either on Miracles, where Baleful Strix is great, or they are on some combo deck where the rest of the hand, Swan's True Name is great. They don't shuffle, interesting. Night's Whisper, likely not the greatest draw, unless our opponent is actually on Miracles. Usually, okay, so Basic Island and Ponder, that is certainly an interesting combination of cards. Maybe some blue Reanimator deck, if they do care about the Death Ride Shaman and have Basic Island, Ponder, and Daze in their deck. So yeah, this, I guess, is happening. It is unfortunate to just run the Death Ride Shaman into Daze if our opponent really is on blue-black Reanimator. There's Probe. Very interesting combination of cards. Not one I'm used to seeing, really. But yeah, as predicted, we do have a slight issue now. Of course, we did draw another black spell for the Robins, that we have the Tropical Island. It is the land in our deck we play the most copies of. I'm not actually sure that is correct. It likely is because we have the Badlands, but really I would most of the time rather have Underground Sea than Tropical Island. But then you have to run Tiger. Maybe Tiger is actually better than Underground Sea, than Badlands. But I think Badlands casts more spells because we are so heavy in black. And another Ponder, again not shuffling. We draw another black spell. Notably, even if we had the Death Ride, it wouldn't produce any black mana because, okay. Now we're in trouble. But what is this? Is this the blue-red Delver deck? This is quite unfortunate. This is how our games in the last league with this deck went. Just mostly risky keeps and getting punished for them. In actually pretty much every game we played. Well, at least if we lose this one, we're gonna know what our opponent is playing. But I'm guessing it's the blue-red Delver deck that has Wasteland and Daze in it. Well, obviously our opponent's deck does have both of these cards, but it's most likely not any combo deck at this point because of the Wasteland. And I think the Probe puts it towards some red deck, or Delver deck rather. So we have to discard. I'm not sure what I want to discard here. Likely the True Name Nemesis, although that seems bad. Actually the Thoughtseize, because it's likely that our opponent has burn spells in their deck and Thoughtseize isn't great against those. Now opponent didn't fetch after the first Rainstorm and now plays the second without activating the Misty Rainforest. So that to me says that they do need red mana, or they need a mana other than blue. And Misty doesn't fetch a basic of that color, or they don't have a basic of that color. And now they're looking for a way to play around the Wasteland. Either by drawing a creature before we get to... Well, either by drawing a creature, so they get to at least cast it when we activate the Wasteland, or to find a land that actually taps for that mana and is basic or fetch land. And there we go. Drawing 5 spells, which often is good. In this case is very much not so. And there's the Misty. Another basic island. So the deck has triple basic island, Wasteland, Ponder, Gatixian Probe Days. I have no idea what's going on. I think I want the True Name Nemesis. I think I want all of my cards. So what are we gonna discard? Yeah, this is an Upcast Mage, which is no surprise. Doesn't do anything. I think I'm going to discard the Spell Snare because we likely won't be able to afford keeping up mana for it anytime soon. This GTA, okay. This is not the worst because we have Replicator in our hand. It's still quite annoying because we have the Deathrite Shaman. Now we can't play it. I mean, I guess we could, but wouldn't survive. We waste their Wasteland. We finally draw a land. Now we hope to ponder into another, then we can decay the GTA, then we can play Deathrite Shaman. Or we can't cantrip into another land. I would still like to know if this is really a mono blue deck. Would be cool, because it is something I have thought about. Okay, so they're going on the aggressive, which makes perfect sense. Yep. We are dead in 2 turns. We are really dead. This game's over. Yep. Nothing we could do. We take 6 next turn. I mean, we take at least 5 and then they get to move the GTA to the True Name Nemesis. We are not technically dead next turn, but there's nothing we can do. So this may very well just be mono blue. Pyroblast definitely bringing in the Colligan's commands because our opponent has artifacts and creatures and plays a deck that apparently cares about things. Diabolic Edict because it deals with True Name Nemesis. Maybe counter spells, although our opponent being on a blue deck I actually like the Thought Seizers. And there isn't much I want to board out, honestly. I don't think Force of Will is amazing in these kind of matchups. Maybe it is good. Not sure about Spell Pierce and Spell Snare. I think I'm boarding up Force and 1 Thoughtseize. Not bringing the counter spells. Maybe this leaves us too soft to True Name Nemesis. With just the 2 Edicts and 4 Daces, especially considering, also I guess 2 Thoughtseizers, considering that our Wastelands likely don't do anything. I think the metagame might be at a point where it's reasonable to play Marsh Casualties in your black decks. Most decks do care about True Name Nemesis, and well, all the fair decks do, and also most decks at this point run True Name Nemesis. This is basically the hand we had in the first game, only we're on the play. And on the play this hand is much better. Depending on how aggressive we want to be, we can either play True Name turn 2 or Knight's Whisper, at least if the Deathrite Shaman resolves. Of course, there is the potential that our opponent decides to just force the Deathrite Shaman and then has a wasteland, and we are in a terrible position. Either way, I'm going to fetch Underground Sea because it casts Night Whisper, which is the only non-blue card we have except for Deathrite Shaman. And now our opponent is going to show their true colors, I hope. It is not too unlikely they really are mono blue. Okay, they are not. There goes the Deathrite Shaman. So I'm not sure if I want to Knight's Whisper here or Wasteland the Volcanic. And I think I want to Knight's Whisper. If this is Days Wasteland, we are not the greatest position if we don't draw a land soon. Okay. In this situation, I actually likely wouldn't have played another dual land if I had it. Okay, so this was just Days. Scouting Town is a great one. If they stifle this, we can Spell Pierce with Days back up. Now we can play True Name Nemesis. We are not able to play True Name Days Proof or with Spell Pierce backup, but if True Name resolves, that's good enough. It's not like we're going to be able to beat those cards anytime soon, unless we just draw another land, which is not too likely. And I actually think just jumping into Days is underrated. There's Volcanic, maybe Young Pyromancer now. GTA, sure. And now I'm gonna ponder to see if I can find a land. If I can find a land, okay, another Wasteland. That is pretty much another land, I guess. Because it's hard if I want to wasteland my opponent. And I'm gonna draw it like this. Now with Days back up and Bolt this turn, Snapcaster Bolt next turn. I could also just draw Bolt. I guess it doesn't really make a difference. I could keep the Wasteland to be able to Snapcast the Knight's Whisper. Delve of Secrets, sure. Because I have Days and also because I have Snapcast the next turn, I'm gonna play this Lightning Bolt into a potential Daze of our opponent. And they also didn't Daze the True Name, so it's unlikely they have a Daze. Okay, so that is a bit premature, but I guess the deck doesn't really have answers to True Name Nemesis. Although Umezawa's GTA sort of is like an answer to True Name, and it's actually a card this deck could support, I think. And maybe I should try it. In general, I think I should try the card in more decks. I did not consider Blazing Volley. And our opponent actually likely does have Young Pyromancer in the deck. So the Wastelands aren't dead. I'm wondering if I want Knight's Whisper. Yeah, Young Pyromancer is most definitely in our opponent's deck, now that I think about it, given that they had Umezawa's GTA main deck. That's actually really nice. Makes me want to try out the deck myself. I think I'm gonna keep Spell Pierce and Spell Snare. I kind of want to shave one of the more clunky cards, but none of them really are. I mean, I guess we do have Colligan's Command and True Names, which are quite a number of 4-drops. But they are both so good in this matchup. Diabolic Edict, I think we need. Should we just shave a Daze on the draw? I really do not like this, usually. Actually, just cut another Thoughtseize. And because we're on the draw, I'm gonna board out the second Thoughtseize, or the third Thoughtseize rather. And we could also just bring in Fatal Push. That's likely better. We do have a lot of removal. It's like the volley, these. We already have the edicts. Maybe we should be more concerned about not losing to True Name because we have all these spot removal spells already. We have 5 cards to kill a Delver on turn 1, another 3 to kill a turn 2 Delver, and there's also Pyroblast. Yeah, I'm just gonna randomly play 1 Force of Will, as weird as it seems. There was a time where I considered letting people play first in the Delver Mirror, because sometimes people would board out Daze on the draw. But actually I just in general think it's wrong to board out Daze in the Delver Mirror, because it's usually about who gets to cast more spells, and also pretty much about who gets to resolve more creatures, or stick more creatures rather. And Daze is just the best card in the deck, pretty much. I think it's the best non-creature spell, because it deals with opposing creatures and it also protects your creatures, and it can really, really mess with your opponent's curve if you get to cast more spells than them. And I think that's usually worth taking back a land to your hand. And our opponent either taking their time, doing something. Okay, so this hand is... It's not amazing as were the other hands. Well, I guess the hand in the second game was actually pretty good. But this might just be the best hand we've had this match so far, just because we have more than 1 land. And again we have the turn 1 Deathrite Shaman. The Wasteland is again not amazing, but it may very well have won the last game. Okay, so here's Misty to Island into... Okay, Volcanic, interesting. Ponder. If this Ponder shuffles, I'm going to Wasteland here. 100%. Well, not 100%. I do want to see what I draw, but... Okay, so they shuffle, and they did fetch Volcanic. It might be a bait. Yeah, now I'm definitely doing it, because I can cast Abrupt Decay in 2 turns. Like, I'm gonna cast Deathrite Shaman next turn, and then if our opponent doesn't both waste us and kill the Deathrite Shaman, we can Abrupt Decay the turn after. And our opponent not having red mana here is great. Gonna play the Tropical because we have 2 of those. And this is Daze, which I would be perfectly fine with, honestly, because we have 4 lands and the Deathrite Shaman is more or less redundant then. I mean, yeah, it does represent some kind of a clock, but trading with the Daze is always fine. And opponent not doing anything. Life from the Loam, which is not amazing given that our opponent has Scalding Tarn here. I think I'm gonna fire off 1 Brainstorm. This is probably not. Okay, if it gets countered, it's actually... It would be amazing if we... Oh, this is amazing. This is really good for us. Because now they fetched a non-basic, and we have Loam. Gonna play the... It doesn't really matter, I don't think. Actually, it does. If we, for some reason, want to cast Abrupt Decay next turn, we get to the Spider Wasteland. If our opponent Wastelands Underground Sea, we don't get to. We'd have to Loam first. And this is a cantrip, fair enough. Ideally, we would get wasted here. Life on the Loam is really a card that makes me always want to get wastelanded. Almost always, at least. And not doing anything. That's good. So I could play Loam Daze Proof, but they didn't Daze the Brainstorm last turn. Which I'm not sure they would have wanted to, actually. I like casting the Loam now, and wasting my opponent. It might just 100% backfire. This is counter magic. Spell Snare, fair enough. Again, playing the Tropical because of Abrupt Decay. Now we get to actually Brainstorm and then Dredge with the Loam to shuffle away, or sort of shuffle away 2 lands. And that actually makes both the Brainstorm and the Life from the Loam better, which is pretty neat, if you ask me. And given that I really want to Wasteland here, I might just fire off the Brainstorm end step. Okay, now not so much. Or maybe still. Yeah. If our opponent dazes with the Volcanic Island, it's perfectly fine with me. Strix, great draw. Edict, great draw. Sure, nice. So we draw a bunch of spells. And now we dredge. Pyroblast would not have minded to draw, but our opponent likely does not have Graveyard Hate here. Sweet. And now we're in a pretty good position. I'm going to Wasteland here because it's worse if our opponent has Stifle, but it's better if our opponent has Vendilion Click or Snapcaster Mage. And there's Basic Mountain, I would say. Or another basic island. Okay. And if this is True Name Nemesis, we have the Diabolic Edict. Okay, Delver. Fine with me. Nope, not Grudging Loam. Snapcasts are a great draw. And I'm gonna cast Baleful Strix. If our opponent counters that, it's not the worst because we still have the Abrupt Decay to deal with the Delver. And nope, don't want to Dredge Loam. Nice draw. Gonna fire off the Ponder because I think I like drawing the Decay and then dredging. That way we're just set for the entirety of the game. It's not like there are many better draws than Abrupt Decay anyway. Like, sure, we do have True Name Nemesis, which I guess is our best card in this position. But in reality, drawing a Decay is also really good, just because we have 5 spells now. Okay, Red Elemental Blast. If our opponent kills the Strix, I'm completely fine, given that I have 2 Abrupt Decays in hand. And okay, they don't want to kill the Strix. And yep, Dredge Loam. And we have 7 cards, Loam is +2 cards, which puts it at 9, and then we play 1. So I am not going to cast the Life from the Loam, I'm just going to play the Volcanic Island and pass the turn. I think we are in decent control of this game. Our opponent is mana screwed, which is nice. Maybe it would be time to go on the aggressive here and just bolt this Delver, Snapcaster, bolt our opponent. And actually, I'm just going to go ahead and decay this Delver because then we can start attacking with the Baleful Strix at least. Okay. Not like we really need to draw lands here. But we're at 6 cards, Loam is +2, 8. Okay, we can Loam here. And then we play the Delta. And now this game is great. I mean, our opponent does likely have a billion spells in hand. We could have Snapcast or Pyroblasted this, but I would rather keep these for instances where my opponent has actual spells, like True Name Nemesis for example, or for Counter War. And they shuffle, interesting. I do not really want to win this game with Baleful Strix speed down. Okay, more spells. Usually having not having spell advantage is annoying, but having spell and land advantage at the same time, or being down a bit on spells but being up so far on lands is decent. We are at the point where we would actually run out of lands in our deck. Okay, our opponent discards. Nice. Another Wasteland. I'm actually going to play the Wasteland here. Our opponent does know the Scalding Tarn, but the Wasteland is just much better to have on board. Or on the battlefield, rather. Using that new Magic terminology. Which I guess isn't that new anymore. They didn't shuffle. Okay, so now they get Basic Mountain. Although, given that they didn't fetch Basic Mountain with a Scalding Tarn earlier when they Pyroblasted or Red Blasted, they really just might not have Basic Mountain in their deck. So, I'm actually going to go ahead and Wasteland the Scalding Tarn. And, oops, forgot to play land. Which really doesn't matter. So we only have targets for these 2 fetches in our deck anyway. This is looking a lot like, yeah. This is gonna be Bolt, Snapcaster, Bolt. Our opponent not doing anything. Sure, let them discard. Not dredging. Badlands, nice. Interestingly, our opponent didn't fetch their 3rd basic island. I think they had 3 in game 1. And now our opponent is dead on board. Well, not on board, but Bolt, Snapcaster, Bolt kills them. Or rather puts them dead on board. If they play creature here, that resolves. Because we have 3 spare removal spells after Snapcaster, Bolt. I still have the Red Blast. Okay, so there's their own wasteland. This might just get spell snared. But it would get spells. Okay, Force of Will, wow. Exile true name. Fair enough. Nope, not dredging. This is actually our last land, so I'm not gonna play it. What's this? Vanillion click? Interesting. If they're willing to click this, I am... Okay, so they choose us. I'm gonna probably decay this. And then wasteland their wasteland. Maybe I should have edicted there to potentially draw out another force. Okay. Our opponent likely has a bunch of spells they can't cast. And there's the third island, which is interesting because they could have fetched that earlier with the Scalding Tarn. Maybe they wanted to draw the card they had on top of with Ponder. Okay. Now we're on the more floody side. How many fetches does our deck have left? 4, okay. So 5 of our 27 cards are lands. 4 of them are dazes, which certainly aren't great. 2 lightning bolts, 2 snapcaster mages. I think we're decent. Nope, don't want to dredge. Spell Snare is not the worst draw. And this is looking like Baleful Strix beatdown. Is our opponent's hand just all blue card or red cards? Nope, don't want to dredge. Spell Pierce, not the greatest draw here. And there's a Delver, sure. That does not do anything. Night's Whisper, nice. And here's Click. 2 mana. What does that do? Ice. I'm Spell Snare this. That's a cool card. That's it for the second match in a league run with 4-color Delverless, 2-0 so far. And before I sign off, I would like to let you know that you can vote for the next deck I'm going to record with. The next league is going to be with Spiral Tide, that won the vote this time. For the one after that, it's going to be between Blue Black Reanimator, Team America, and Grixis Control. I'm going to put a link to the straw poll description down below. Thank you very much for tuning in, and see you tomorrow with the third match in a league run with 4-color Delverless. Take care.